Email marketing, that's a little bit of a change from what you've been hearing so far. I personally started doing email marketing back in 2001. I'm that old. My first email campaign I sent out when I was working for Cognos, which is a B2B company. They did business analytics software, and we were going to do email marketing because it was cheaper. We're going to be sending out emails to people to invite them to demo sessions where our salespeople could then try to sell to them. And email marketing was cheaper to send out. We had a bunch of email addresses. Our salespeople had done a really good job of getting email addresses of lots and lots of people, put them in our CRM system, and I would create a really beautiful HTML template, put it in Internet Explorer, and do in Outlook something like send page by email, and then I would send it out in Outlook with 500 names in BCC. Back in 2001, you could still get away with that. But not for long, because probably a couple of months later, one of our sales guys came up to me and he said, "Tamara, what have you done?" I'm like, "I didn't do anything. What did I do?" "Well, we can't send any emails anymore to any of our clients. I can't get through to them anymore." So basically what happened is, and not any of our clients, it was one big client that they couldn't reach out to anymore via email because they had blocked us. All the emails that came through from Cognos at that specific company, they were all blocked because we were sending out emails with way too many names in BCC. And that for me was a start. That for me was when I started learning about how to do email marketing properly. We got ourselves a real, ESP to send out the emails instead of sending them out through Outlook. And basically everything I know about email marketing, I've learned myself through trial and error. And that's probably why I guess I may be qualified to give you guys this presentation. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just quickly set the stage a little bit. I'm gonna talk about lifecycle email marketing. I'm gonna give you lots and lots of examples. I'm gonna try and talk through how you do this successfully. I only have like half an hour, so I can't go really, really into depth, but I'll try. And English is not my native language. I do my best to not make any mistakes, but bear with me there. So, 2015, back in 2001 when I was sending out emails, people were not receiving too many emails yet. That has changed. Today in 2015, we all get a lot of emails, And you have to somehow try and stand out. We have a lot, as consumers, we have a lot of choice. I ride a motorcycle and I'm prepping it to take it out on the racetrack, and I need new, how do you call these things, clutch and brake levers, I guess. So I was looking around, asked my dealer, and my dealer said, well, if you buy them from us, they cost, I don't know, 300 euros, so $350, something like that. So a friend of mine said, why don't you look on eBay? And I started looking on the internet. Amazon even sells them. So instead of buying them from my dealer, who is like located 2 cities away from me, I might end up buying them in the States or in Hong Kong. I can buy wherever I want. And as a consumer, I like to be in control. I like to own that experience. I like to decide where I'm going to buy, who I'm going to buy from. I like to decide in the context of email marketing which emails I will open, which ones I won't, right? And I want companies to make it easy for me. I want you guys to deliver an experience that I don't need to think about it. I can just come in and do whatever it is that I want to do. And more importantly, people only care about themselves. I care about what's in it for me. When you send me an email, it better have value for me. I don't care about your new offices, seriously. Unless you are a retail store that's located somewhere and I used to, every week come and shop at your store, and now you're moving to another place, then I may be interested in that. But otherwise, I couldn't care less. Now, a study from the Associated Press back in 2013 found that the average attention span on the internet is about 8 seconds. You can grab my attention for 8 seconds and then I'm gone. Now, if you think about how much time you spend opening emails, or how much time you take to decide whether you're going to open or delete an email, you're not going to take 8 seconds to make that decision. That is a second that happens like this. And think about when you're looking at your mailbox, think about what is the criterion that you choose to decide whether you're going to open or delete that email. Is that the sender name or is that the subject line? If you think about it, it's most likely going to be the sender name. Because based on the experience that you've had with a certain sender, you will either open or delete those emails immediately without even looking at the subject line. Yes, your subject line is important, but only if you are a sender that is still like, in that phase where I'm doubting whether your email will be interesting this time, yes or no. Otherwise, people won't even look at it anymore. So you don't have a lot of time to convince people. Their attention is really, really scarce, right? And that's why with email marketing, we need to think beyond ad hoc campaigns, beyond newsletters that we send to everybody. We try to think about email marketing in a life cycle kind of way because we want to try and send relevant emails, very timely, very personalized. The right message, right person, right time. I think we've heard that before. Now, to be able to do that, we are going to need data. And Adam has talked about data quite a bit already, so I'm not going to go into a lot of details there. But we are going to have to know who our customers are. We have to analyze whatever data we have on these people, right? And from those analysis that we make, we need to try and get some insights. We need to try and get to a stage where we can actually start predicting what people are going to buy from us. I think I'm a big fan of Amazon. I buy a lot of stuff there. And when I was looking for these brake and clutch levers, they were also predicting, or not predicting, they were suggesting other things I might be interested in. And yeah, I was actually. I hadn't thought about it yet, but I am going to get new handlebars. I am going to get new bar ends, stuff like that. So try to provide that service to the customer because that's the stage where we want to get to. Try to think, and this is a horrible picture, it could have been much nicer, but try to just think about the whole life cycle. They're coming in that stage where they're still exploring you, they're exploring whatever product you have to offer, maybe they subscribe to your newsletter. They go through that journey, maybe you have sent them some offers, they've clicked on some stuff, maybe at some point you can start sending them stuff based on what they've clicked on in the past. Think about that life cycle. I'll get to that in a minute. Like this picture here, and I've been to this place, it's amazing, isn't it? Who has been there? No one? Antelope Canyon? You should go there. So like this picture, you need to send the right message at the right time. You need to try to think of what people will want to buy from you before they can think about it, or think about what message they will need from you first before they've even thought about it. Another example from Amazon, this is an email that I received from them a while back. I'm a big fantasy fan. I read every book that has elves and trolls and magicians and whatever in it. I've read all of Brandon Sanderson's books, and I've bought them all on Amazon, so they know my history. Now what happens, and I don't know this for a fact, but I can totally imagine that this is how it happens. This is most likely an automated email. A new book comes into the inventory, and an email goes out to everyone that has in the past bought books from this author, or maybe books from similar authors or something like that, and they send out this email. This for me is not a sales message, it's not a marketing message, this for me is a service. Because Amazon at this point is reminding me of the fact that one of my favorite authors has written a new book and it's going to come out soon. This is not marketing anymore. Well, it is marketing, obviously, but this is a service to me as a consumer. This is clever marketing. The good thing about these things is that you can definitely automate these things. You can have a look at what I'm doing on your website. You can follow me throughout that experience. You know what I'm clicking on on your emails. You know when I've bought something, what I've bought, and how often I've bought. So you know a lot of things about me. And when you pick up these signals that I'm kind of ready to buy again, that's when you may want to shoot me an email. I'll give you a bunch of examples of that later on. Now, triggered emails, automated triggered emails are very, very powerful. I saw this case at an email marketing conference a while back. It was a company in the travel sector, and they send out, their volume of the triggered emails that they send out is about 5% of the overall email marketing volume. Only 5%. But it generates, as you can see, 45% of the revenue of that email channel. 45% through 5% of emails. Right? So think about that, because email marketing today is still really, really strong. It always has been. We in the email marketing industry, we've always known that this is a really powerful channel. And everybody's been trying to say, like, email marketing is dead. First there was RSS that was going to kill email. I think at some point even Second Life was going to be killing email. Every new channel that came along was going to kill email. But we're still here, and email today, as someone said to me during lunch or during breakfast yesterday, email for us is the #1 channel, the #1 revenue generating channel for us. It is huge, but you have to do it well, because otherwise it can turn against you as well. Now, if we're thinking about lifecycle marketing and how to get started with that, there's like 3 important questions. The first one, and you've heard about all of this before, you need to develop some sort of an image of your customer, a persona. You need to know who that person is. And if you haven't done that yet, this is an exercise you need to do this. You cannot live without it. You cannot get started without it. You need to know who these people are for the different target audiences that you have. Who are these people? Put a name and a face to them. What are their typical objectives? What are their typical challenges? But also a very, very important thing, what are typical objections that they may have towards a certain product or a service that you're trying to sell them? Because if you know what kind of objections they have, and your salespeople will probably be able to tell you that because they should know. If you know what are the typical objections, then you can already write in your copy something that, counters those objections, right? Even before they say, no, I won't, or no, I can't, because. So that persona is a really important one. And the second thing, the second exercise that you have to make, if you haven't done it yet, is map out that entire customer journey. You need to know from start to finish, what are the steps that people are going through when they are buying one of your products. And that goes from, they find us on Google, they come to our website, they fill in a form, then they get this email, then they get this interaction, then, all those little steps. You need to map them out, right? Create a whole customer journey. See where people are going. See where they might, be making objections. See where they might maybe drop off. All those things, and then have a look at all those different touch points, and see how you can assist them. And I'm not using the word marketing here on purpose. See how you can assist them. See where you can give them that little push to move them forward through that buying journey, through that customer journey. A company called Gamers First, there's a little case. They make money by selling virtual hand grenades. They sell video games, as you probably would have guessed. And the issue that they had is people cannot buy something from them unless they've registered, logged in, and actually played the game. They can only purchase when they're playing the game. So what they did is they did that whole exercise that I talked about before, and they figured out that there were like 3 major drop-off points. There was a point people would register on their website, they would get an email where they'd have to click a link to say that, yes, I want to be registered on your website, the famous double opt-in thing. So people would drop off there. Then the second drop-off point was at the point where they had verified their account, but they hadn't logged in yet. So people would drop off there. And then the third point was, of course, after logging in, they wouldn't have purchased. So they were looking at all those different stages. And basically what they did is at those 3 drop-off points, they created a triggered email that would be sent to people to get them to come back, to get them to go to the next step. The first thing, for example, in the beginning, they had like a really beautiful HTML email that was sent out when people registered. It had like great branding, a bunch of text, and then a button that people needed to click on to verify their account. They just got rid of that, and they tested it, of course, first, but they got rid of that, and now they only have a simple text email because that performed way, way better. And in each of these different drop-off points, they created an email, they tested the hell out of it, and as an end result, 44% increase in revenue, right? 3 stupid emails, triggered emails. And it's not easy to set those things up sometimes. Sometimes you need to involve what we also lovingly call the business prevention unit, IT, right? We need to involve those people because they need to link databases, they need to, do all kinds of technical stuff that I don't know about to get all those things set up. Sometimes it takes months and months before you can actually get things going, but you need to build your business case, and I'll talk about that in a second, to get there. It's really important. A couple of examples. How do you help or how do you assist people to go through that journey? So what are typical triggered emails that you could send out? And these are just examples for inspiration, and I'll talk a little bit about each and every one and give you some tips and tricks there. The first one, welcome messages, activation messages, onboarding programs, different kinds of emails there. This is the first one. People sign up to your newsletter. When they are on your website and they're signing up to your newsletter, they want to hear from you. They're in that mindset of, I want to get in touch with this company. I want this company to send me emails. Do that. Send that very first email within the first 5 minutes after they have subscribed. And welcome them. Tell them what you're going to be sending them. And most importantly, try to get them to come back to your website. They're ready. They're waiting for it. They want to do something. Try to get them to come back. Try to get them to do the next step. I like this email as well from Goodreads. Here I have created an account, and they're sending me an email and trying to get me to activate. Now, what I like about this email is the famous rule of 3. There's 3 things that you can do. They've really nicely put it in 3 categories. First step is follow your favorite author. Second step is join a group. And the third one, win a free book. They've given me 3 easy things to do. Remember that rule of 3. People like things in 3s. There's someone from Buffer here, and she's going to be talking, I think it's tomorrow. I like Buffer a lot. It's one of my favorite social media tools. I like it because they're keeping it human. This is an email that doesn't even try to sell me anything. They're just saying like, hey, it's so great that you've become, that you've purchased our awesome plan. I even like the name of the plan. And they're trying to they're signing it with Joel and the Buffer team. It's a personal email. It's a simple email. It even looks as if it was sent personally to me, and some people actually will believe that Joel sent this email personally. They do. But this is a really nice way to thank customers for becoming a customer. It's a simple thing to set up, right? Think about those things. Join.me, I signed up for a trial of their software, and what they did was, the trial was 15 days, and during those 15 days, I received 6 emails, right? On day 1, day 3, day 5, day 8, day 12, and day 15. And in each of those emails, they talked about functionality of the tool, or they talked about this one little thing that I could do with the tool, trying to get me to activate. In those 15 days, that's their only chance to get me to activate. And they know if I start using the tool, it's going to be much, much easier to sell it to me, to sell a paid subscription afterwards. So once those 15 days were over, I received, I think, 2 more emails from them trying to get me to buy a subscription. Again, everything is automated. Everything is just sent out without you having to lift a finger. That's why I love triggered emails. That's why I love Lifecycle emails so much. You only set it up once, you test the hell out of it, and then it just sits there and it generates revenue and business, right? Recovery programs. Emails like this, they look so simple, and yet it can sometimes take up to 12 months to get it installed. Because, again, all those systems need to talk to each other, and data needs to be integrated, and all those things. But imagine all those people that are coming to your shop, that are putting stuff in your shopping cart and going away without paying. If you can get only a portion of them back through sending them 1, 2, maybe 3 emails, 3 follow-up emails, that generates an awful lot of money. Even if this takes you 12 months to get up and running, it's going to pay for itself within a very short amount of time, right? If anything, think about this if you're doing e-commerce. It's one of the most important emails. Now, here you see an example where they're showing you what was in the shopping cart. Here's an example of another abandoned shopping cart email that doesn't show you what was in the shopping cart, but they just have a link for you to go back. Test different options. That's basically what I'm trying to say. Test with probably in the very first instance, when you're rolling this out, you won't be able to show the product. probably because there's, I don't know, there's no connection with your email database, I don't know, many reasons. So the first phase of your rollout will probably be an email like this. Simple and easy, just a link back to the shopping cart. And in the second phase, then maybe you start adding products. Maybe you want to start testing, as you can see over there, how do you say the percentage off, giving people a discount to come back. Now, funny story there is in Belgium, there's an e-commerce store that I buy from quite often. And they have trained me to put stuff in my shopping cart and then wait one day because then I'll get an email that says you don't have to pay shipping costs. That's kind of stupid. I mean, if you can easily train people to wait for those promotions, right? In this case, I'm hoping that the company here is not doing this in each and every abandoned shopping cart email, but only maybe only when it's a very important client, for example, right? Think about those things, think these things through. Another version of that, and I'm showing maybe a lot of B2C examples, but think about a B2B context. Somebody has been to your website and they started filling out a form to download, I don't know, a white paper. But they didn't complete filling that form out. You could send them an email that, reminds them again about that white paper. Just don't say, hey, I noticed that yesterday at 2:42 you were on a website and you spent 2 minutes on, or 20 seconds on this page, and we noticed that you were interested in the, I mean, don't play Big Brother too much. People don't like that. That becomes really creepy. But something like this, here they're just reminding me of the fact that I've been looking for a place to stay in San Francisco, right? If anybody has any suggestions of where I can stay in San Francisco on Thursday and Friday, let me know. So abandoned search is definitely something that you can also look into. Another example of abandoned search is, again, my favorite e-commerce store, Amazon, who sends me emails like this when I've been on their website. You may have seen those emails as well. So think about that. Think how you can, first of all, figure out who was on your website and when it is a good idea to trigger an email like that, right? Maybe they visited a certain product page, maybe they've downloaded something, maybe they've attempted to do something, they clicked through on an email but they didn't take the action, then maybe you can follow that up with something else. Another type of lifecycle marketing emails are the upsell and the cross-sell programs. An example here from, and I don't know how to pronounce this in English, DeWalt, whatever. I'm not technical. I have what you call two left hands, but I'm told that when you buy a battery, like you buy one of their appliances, that battery can also be used on all the other appliances. So you're actually saving money by buying more? That makes sense? At least that's what they're trying to make you believe here. But again, they're trying to upsell you something. Same with EasyJet, who, if you've purchased, I mean, travel companies do this all the time, right? You've purchased airline tickets, maybe you're gonna need a hotel room, maybe you need to rent a car, maybe you wanna book some excursions, maybe you need, I don't know, a taxi to drive you to the airport. Typical upsell and cross-sell programs. Same here with Amazon again. But also when somebody has, needs to renew a subscription to a service. Why not send them an email a bit more in advance, asking them, to come back, maybe give them a special discount. All those things can be automated. I like this example as well, and this is actually a transactional email, and we call emails like this is like something, a confirmation of an order. That's what we call transactional emails. Here again, perfect opportunity to try and upsell me something, right? A lot of companies just send out boring text emails, to confirm a purchase. Why not try to get me to buy some more? Typical follow-up programs, take a survey after you purchase something. I like this one, Booking.com. They actually sent me an email to, prepare me for a trip that I was going to take. I was going to stay at a hotel. Afterwards, they asked me to review. What I like about this email is they're using, I've done a project at Booking.com years ago, And I know that the developers there, they won't change a letter on the website without actually testing the hell out of it first. If they change a word on the website, it means that, and it stays, it means that it's making them more money, right? Well, and they're also very big fans of a guy called Robert Cialdini. I don't know if you've heard of him, but he's written a book called, I think it's The Science of Persuasion or The Principles of Persuasion. Read that book. One of the principles of persuasion that they're using in here is they're saying like, hey, 7.6, so the review score is 7.6 based on 778 guests. That number sounds like it's, believable. It is not a round number. If they would say here, based on 500 plus guests, it wouldn't be as believable as that number, 775. Anyway, 76. Coolblue. I think there's someone in the audience here from Coolblue. They're an e-commerce company. They sell, I think, mainly electronic appliances. If I can buy it on Coolblue, I will buy it on Coolblue because they're not the cheapest, but their customer service is really awesome. Now, in the context of this email, they just basically asked me to review one of my purchases, and they're giving me the chance to win something if I write a review that is really, really good. Now, one of the things that I would have changed in this email, it's just little tips and tricks. If you make the guy look at the text, if you make him look at the blue button, my eyes will look at the blue button as well. Now my eyes will go to his face and my eyes are drawn, the attention is drawn to that face. Make that face look towards, or make him point towards the button and I will look towards the button. Just something to keep in mind. What I wanted to point out with this example here, you see on the top those little images, the speech bubble and the little round thing with a number in it. Those symbols have been known to stand out in the inbox. Of course, if everybody's going to start using them, they won't work as well as they do now, but something you can try out. Send people reminders. Coolblue again, I bought some ink cartridges. Now, they're following up with an email, like a couple of months after I bought those cartridges, they followed up with an email saying like, hey, maybe you need some more. And that is a very clever thing to do because what happens when I run out of ink and I usually find out that I've run out of ink when I want to print something. And what I'm gonna do when I'm running out of ink is probably I'm gonna go to a shop and buy new ink cartridges. Now, if they can get me to purchase some so that I have some spares lying around, then that's a clever thing to do. So an easy email to be automated again. MotoGP is trying to get me to renew my subscription. Just different examples that you can use for inspiration, GoDaddy speaks Dutch these days. It's really horrible. I want them to speak English to me. They're warning me that one of my products is up for renewal. Runkeeper trying to get me to come back, trying to, remind me that I used to be an elite user and I'm not anymore, so they're giving me the chance to come back. All of those emails easily I'm not going to use the word easy. They can be automated and they should be automated. I love the happy birthday emails. I love them, but I love them even more if they give me something in return, if they give me like a little present. Who doesn't, right? I receive a lot of emails around the week of my birthday. Now, there's a restaurant in my neighborhood, and they send me an email to congratulate me on my birthday, like a week before my birthday, and they say like, hey, if you come in the week of your birthday, if you come on a Monday, a Tuesday, I think a Wednesday and a Thursday, if you come on any of those days, you get a free meal if you bring a second person with you. So they're doing two things here. They're making me feel good because I'm getting something for free, but also they're filling up their restaurant on days where they don't have a lot of traffic usually, right? So it's very clever to do. Give me something. I like getting things. I like this email, again, an example from Buffer, because we're in the category surprise and delight. This is just an email that says like, hey, you've just paid your invoice, but they're doing it in such a nice way. I want to continue to do business with them. Use some personality if you can. Runkeeper, don't know if you guys use it here, but they're really great at inventing new records. The next email actually says like, hey, you've run like 100 times. It's really great. So again, surprise and delight. Send people something. When I was working at eBay back in 2005, we used to send our members a certificate when they reached like their feedback score of X, when they got their first feedback star, for example, we would send them an email that had like a link to a PDF that they could print out with a certificate like, hey, you reached your first star. People would actually print that out, hang it up against their walls, and then send us pictures of that. Simple things makes them, love you. LinkedIn trying to get me to come back, and this is curiosity. They're trying to trigger my curiosity. I always want to know who are those people that have been looking at my profile. Again, automated emails, triggered Lifecycle messages. Runkeeper trying to get me to come back. You haven't been using the tool, why not? Maybe it was something we said, please come back. I like this email in a sense that it tries to trigger an emotion, at least the first part. The second part of it just has too much text. If they would have taken a clue from that Goodreads email that had like the rule of 3, these are 3 things that you can do, this would have been way better even. Just little things and tips and tricks. So a couple of keys to success. First of all, if you want to set up these automated messages, you're going to have to get management buy-in. Why? Because data is involved and a lot of integration will probably be involved, and they may not understand why you want to spend time and effort on that. So try to maybe even first set up a campaign that is not automated, just to figure out, how much more revenue or leads it's going to bring in, right? Get them to buy into that. That way, then think about which data you need. Think about where that data sits and think about how you can bring that data all together. And maybe you don't have certain data. Maybe you need to collect that. How are you going to do that? Think about those things. A very important thing, and I was on a panel, I was moderating a panel actually at another conference, and I had someone from Arsenal, the soccer club in the UK, and they had set up a really nice automated program to tell people about if their subscription was up for renewal, to send them an email, to remind them of that. But it also got sent out when they just purchased or when they just renewed. That's horrible. That's a horrible experience. So make sure that you set up those rules and triggers and test them extensively. And optimize those emails for conversion. Don't just let them sit there and move on to the next thing. Try to optimize them as much as you can. And start small. Start small. Think about if you don't know where you're going, any road will take you there. So think really good about what it is that you're trying to achieve. Are you trying to prevent churn? Are you trying to think of get people to buy another product, get people to buy the second purchase? I don't know, get people to buy a first thing from you? Think about what it is that you want to achieve. And then once you know what business problem you're trying to solve, ask a bunch of questions and prioritize those questions that you want to ask based on the business opportunity that they offer, and then take or ask those questions and think about the actions that you want those answers to trigger. Does that make sense? Yeah. So really ask yourself a lot of questions. And really think very hard about, okay, with the answer of that question, what is it that I'm going to be able to do? And don't think of it as one big project. A client of mine worked 3 years to really get from no automation at all to, having an abandoned shopping cart email and having some upsell emails and all those things. They started by just getting data from a third-party data provider. And they started small. They started sending out campaigns based on that data, and then they aggregated some more data from social media over time, and then they linked up, their CRM system to their email platform and their transaction system to their email platform and all those things. So start small. Don't try to make this into one big project. Make sure that you have small things that you can already start to do. I think this is what I want to leave you guys with. When you're doing automated email marketing, when you're doing lifecycle email marketing, aim for progress. Don't aim for perfection. That was it.
So fascinating numbers about triggered emails versus standard blast emails, because I think we all put 90% of our effort into the blast emails.
Absolutely.
And so the takeaway, at least for me, is put find more opportunities where we can get those triggered emails.
Absolutely.
Okay. So we're almost out of time. I do want to ask one question because it came up several times. Kate Sand, I think, said it best here. What is the tipping point on email quantity and frequency? When do you become an inbox stalker? How many triggered emails are too many?
If the content of those emails is valuable to me, then you're not stalking me. If you're providing a service to me, then you're not stalking me. Yeah. Is there a tipping point? Look at your numbers. Your stats will tell you when people are starting to get annoyed by unsubscribing, by not opening, by not clicking anymore. So yeah. Your numbers will tell you.
So here in the States, we always get questions about canned spam. Do we have to worry about that at all with triggered emails? I mean, can we become spam if we do it too much?
Well, I love your legislation here in the US because you can basically do anything. In Europe, we need to have like an actual opt-in. People need to say, yes, I want to receive your emails before you can actually send those emails. Here you have a lot of freedom to do what you want. There is this thing about transactional emails, and I think it's more of a best practice rather than legislation, but I'm not a lawyer and I'm not a US citizen, so I could be wrong there, but try to keep the promotional portion to like 20% and 80% of the message should be the transaction. I think that's a good rule of thumb.
Cool. Thoughts to take away. Tamara, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Tamara Gielen, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you.